Yo, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to hit y'all with a track review of the new DJ KaySlay song titled Rollin' 110 Deep. Let's get to it. Alright, so DJ KaySlay, aka the Drama King, is back at it with a follow-up to his 2020 Rollin' 50 Deep posse cut. Now this time around, he really doubled up and outdid himself with this new track entitled Rollin' 110 Deep. So that's 110 artists all on one track, making it the posse cut of all posse cuts. It's the biggest one in terms of length and the number of rappers featured. Although it must be stated that not everyone featured is a rapper by profession. There are some actors, athletes, and DJs on board, but ultimately each person has dabbled in hip hop at some point before. Now, there's a more diverse cast of individuals overall compared to the 2020 version. This includes more female MCs, a continued balance between old and new artists, some unsigned MCs, and even some white rappers. The beat, handled by Tracketeering, is suspenseful, gritty, and anthem-like. There's the sound of purge horns at times. I feel it's a solid backdrop for all these MCs to catch wreck. This track is 40 minutes long, which is double the length of his 2020 posse cut. I don't know exactly what kind of record this sets, but I would imagine that it's in the top 3 longest rap songs in history. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into these verses, but I'm only gonna share like a couple thoughts on each. Otherwise, this video would be mad long. So it opens with Sheek, Louch, and I can't think of a better artist than to set off a posse cut. Styles P follows. He has a dope verse. It appears he has lost a decent amount of weight too. Dave East does his thing, rocking this really fly yellow bubble coat. He raps, "This is for my dudes in the cell," and on their wall they got a Nicki Minaj poster. Crooked Eye kills it as usual. Black Dot has a smooth verse, but I found it a little more laid back than what we typically get from him. Conway the Machine goes next, and I feel he had an okay verse. I mean, it's not the craziest verse we've gotten from Conway, but it's cool. Right after, we get Raekwon, who is rapping under a bridge, rocking some real fly attire. Ray just has that timeless flow. Then Ghostface appears masked up, taking it back to those 1993 days. His energy was really explosive here, and I feel that's a good sign for any up-and-coming projects that he had. Inspectah deck sounded solid here. I really have no complaints. Papoose follows him, counting by tens all the way to 100. Loaded Lux then comes through to spit his traditional battle rap bars, which were alright. I found AZ's verse to be standout as he killed it with his smooth and everlasting flow. I also like Bun B's appearance more than I did on the 50 MCs, as flow was tighter and he just sounded hungrier. Fred the Godson spit a dope verse. R.I.P. Gordo. Jim Jones follows him up with a solid verse. I know it's the in thing now for social media to clown Jim Jones, but I feel he hasn't missed in a long time. Ransom killed it as expected. I feel it's too easy for him at times. Following Ran is Digga, who sounds great and looks great. She's definitely one of the nicest female MCs. Then we get Billy Danze and Lil Fame coming through with that rugged Brownsville energy. Lil Fame states, "We drank 40s to ease the pain. Y'all drink White Claws. We ain't the same." Trae the Truth goes next, and he is rapping in pocket, flowing with intensity. I think Trae killed it. Following him is Joell Ortiz, who did his thing, obviously, just like King Crooked. Now, what comes next are appearances from Lord Tariq, Cory Gunz, and Peter Gunz. So you have 3 Bronx bombers representing the old school and the new school generation. It was great to hear all of them together. Next, we have Shaq and Roy Jones Jr. Now, with athletes performing, it is what it is, but I'm not going to front like Shaq didn't have some dope songs in the 90s, and surprisingly, Roy Jones Jr. had a decent verse here. DJ Red Alert says some words with KaySlay before Redman's verse. Now, I got to give a really unpopular opinion here, and I hate to be this guy, but I really don't think Redman's flow is the same as it used to be. I mean, the man is a fucking legend. I love Redman, but his flow just hasn't seemed as crispy as of late. Young Buck goes next, and he still sounds good. Then we have MC Serch, and look, I gotta admit, I was busting out laughing when I saw MC Serch in the bodega looking super tough with the glasses on. Now, I love and respect MC Serch, but I always found him super comical. Like, he's not trying to be funny, but I find him super funny. Big Daddy Kane comes after, and his flow is still intact. I would love to hear some solo material from him. MC Shan goes next, and while his verse was good, he didn't look so good, especially his teeth. Hopefully this OG is clean and in good health. Appropriately following MC Shan is the blast master KRS-One, who looked and sounded super hype. You can tell KRS-One lives for moments like this. John Connor goes next. I respect him a lot for his rapping ability, but I never found his music to be too interesting. Then we got Twista going next, who comes through with his legendary rapid fire tornado flow. Up next is Dragon, who has a solid verse, but his voice does sound different. Chris Rivers follows him. His verse is dope, but it's more laid back than his signature style. Right after is Nino Man, who sounds more energetic than usual, but I liked his bars better on the 50 MCs. Right after is Locksmith, who delivers quality bars as expected. I feel he's a super underrated MC. Following is 3D Nate, who does her thing as well. I thought it was a decent verse. Then we get some clever investment bars from Detroit's Trick. Queensbridge veteran Tragedy Gaddafi follows this up with a solid verse. Laser beam, turn your phone pauses to red bottoms. Tragedy is like one of the most slept on of all time. Right after is EA Ski. Now I know KaySlay likes to work with EA Ski, and while I do respect him, I never really got into his music like that. Cassidy is next, and he actually killed it. I know it's been hit or miss with Cassidy anymore, but he did his thing here. Then there is Bumpy Knuckles, aka Freddie Fox, who sounds great. It was dope to hear him again. Gilly the King goes next, and he has some punchlines that I thought were cool. Next we have the West Coast OG Ice-T, who I feel never disappoints. He's always pretty consistent. Right after we have Treach posted under a bridge with his crew. He has a dope verse, but his delivery was less animated. The Don Cool G rap proves that he still has it. Fillmore Slim shit, straight off a film strip. G-Rap is one of the best to ever do it. Now, I'd be lying if I told y'all that I was happy to see Lil C's name on here, but what are you gonna do? Next, RJ Payne shows his hunger and skill as a battle rapper. Then we get a verse from J.R. Ryder, which was cool, but it looks like he just woke up from a nap. Following is Shooter 93. Now, I know this dude can rap really well, but I never found myself getting too hyped about his features. Miss Hustle is next, and she has a cool line. Y'all ain't soldiers, y'all just be wanting attention. Right after is Vado, who probably has one of the 10 best verses on here. My song follows, and I gotta be honest, I'm finding myself really tired with his whole "my integrity is second to none" type thing that he's got going on. I find it to be so predictable and mid. Mr. F.A.B comes through with some dope bars about his bars. Then we have Saigon posted outside with his crew. I thought his verse was cool. Then there's the legendary Melly Mel, looking like a professional wrestler and a bodybuilder. I think Melly Mel actually killed it. He had a hard and entertaining verse. Could socially distance your head from your body. Following is Grandmaster Caz, so I respect his inclusion on this track for historic purposes. Then we get Havoc, who sounds great over this beat. Tracy Lee follows, and he proves that he's still got it. And I know he released an album, I think last year, that was pretty good. Now, you know KaySlay is always gonna show love to the Outlaws, but I feel Young Noble had the best verse out of the two. After is Harlem OG Herb McGruff, who sounds just as nice as he did in the 90s. Stan Spit makes an appearance, and what can I say? I guess it's good that he still raps. What follows is a verse from Sick Flow, who is representing Atlanta. Now, I'm not too familiar with him, but I thought his verse was cool. Next, we have Onyx sounding extra gritty, as one would expect. I like them over this dark beat. Following is Razcast, and he still sounds great in 2021. He killed that Horseman project, by the way. Boston's underrated Terminology follows with a consistent verse. Then right after we have the bounce master DJ Doo-Wop. Now, in terms of DJs who rap, I feel he is one of the nicer ones, especially back in the 90s. Then there's a Junior Reed appearance which I get, given his contributions over the years. What follows are verses from two artists that I'm not really familiar with, Oun-P and Mercules. Now, I can't say either of the two really grabbed my attention like that, but the verses were solid. Brooklyn OG Wise P goes next with an okay verse. This is followed up by a decent enough Nino appearance. Then we get a super disrespectful verse from Uncle Murder, who talks about having 10 of the rappers on this song robbed in real life. PT Capone of Mob Style goes next, and this appearance makes sense considering he is one of the original New York gangster rappers. Then we have Ghostface Killah going twice, but under the moniker of Tony Starks this time, which I found to be pretty comical. Then we get a verse from the New Jersey veteran rapper Mike C, which I can respect. Following him is the Queen's OG Royal Flush. Now, I love Royal Flush, but I thought his flow sounded a little off here. Right after is a solid verse from the old school rap legend Super Lover C. Then the Detroit comedian and actor Paige Kennedy spit some bars. I mean, this was okay, but nothing I really asked for. Rock Nest Monster of Helter Skelter goes next, showing us how well he still raps. I would love to get some solo material from him. Then Gunplay has a dope verse. I liked his line, crib looking like an evidence room. Following is an appearance from Brand Nubian. It was dope to see all three of them, as they are one of the most important and unique groups in hip-hop history. Sonya Blade does her thing. I like the following line, don't let that fly shit go to your head like Mike Pence. Right after is a verse from Coke LaRock, who is credited as being the first MC in hip-hop. I'm glad this 66-year-old legend was able to be on this track. Following him is Nice and Smooth. Now, Greg Nice's unique voice is still intact. Smooth B's, on the other hand, sounds a little different, but it was good to hear him nonetheless. I have to be honest, Consequences verse didn't do much for me. Right after, we have Boston MC Millies spitting some fire. I'm Tommy Egan in the Honda Weavin'. Thought that was pretty funny considering he does give off those Tommy from Power vibes. Philly rapper OT The Real is next, and he has some decent drug bars. Then we get an appearance from Queensbridge legend Ron Artest. Now, I never particularly got into Ron Artest's rap and all like that, but he is a Queens OG, so I respect it. Right after is a verse from an MC who I've never heard before named Kaflo Kaboom. Thought it was just okay. Then there's a decent verse from Philly's Tone Trump. Right after is Hocus 45th. Now, I gotta be honest, these last three individuals didn't really blow me away, but they were alright. Then there's Omar Epps, who tries his hand at this rapping shit and actually delivers. What follows is a verse from Bodega Bams, who for some reason reminds me of a Dominican version of Smoke DZA. The following three appearances I didn't really find too interesting. The verses from Bino, PTKNY, and IOB. At this point, I found myself just wanting to rewind the good verses or fast forward to some doper ones. Thankfully, we get an appearance from the very underrated Sporty Thieves. They still sound pretty good. Tony Moxberg goes next, but all I could think of was that we're getting a D Block artist who isn't Jadakiss. Some artist named Stallion goes next, and yeah. However, the song closes on a strong note with verses from the rap god Chuck D and Brooklyn Sauce Money. I feel Chuck D's appearance was essential on this track, and Sauce Money was a great choice to close out the record. Overall, this is a very dope and historic song that is important for the culture. I like the sense of unity and camaraderie that was being shown, except for Uncle Murder, who claims that he didn't like many of the people on the track. Now, with that being said, I would be lying to y'all if I said that I was equally as happy to hear every MC. I was totally in favor of the choice to include all of the 80s and 90s rap legends, regardless of how they now sound, because it was about paying homage to their contributions. But I'm not sure if I love to hear some of these unsigned and lesser tiered artists on the same track with these rap legends and artists who are currently buzzing. It's not that these lesser known artists couldn't rap or that I don't want to see them shine. That's not the case at all. But I just found myself thinking of all the artists that I would have rather heard instead. Like, I know it would have been a daunting task to get everyone on board at the same time. And I feel KaySlay did a good job of bringing this diverse cast together. But I'm just going to bring up some rappers that I wished could have been on here or possibly in the future. Scarface, Big Crit, Zero, Cannabis, Corrupt, Moneybagg Yo, Keith Murray, 38 Spesh, Shay Noor, Method Man, Lloyd Banks, 8Ball and MJG, T.I., Master P, OC, Eric Sermon, Mozzie, Jadakiss, Pusha T, Edo G, Nature, Cormega, Rome Streets, Lord Finesse, K Reno, Mike Geronimo, Q-Tip, MC8, 50, Pharaoh Monch, Talib Kweli, Stove God Cooks, Jamal of Def Squad, A+, Currency, Sauce Walker, J Stone, Rakim, Fat Joe, Freddie Gibbs, and any members from Bone. Regardless of my minor criticisms, I feel this was one hell of a song that shows KaySlay's eternal commitment to preserving the true elements of hip-hop. Thank God he always steps up to the plate to deliver for the culture in a big way. Let me know your thoughts on this track in the comment section below. Who do you feel had the best verses? Were there any MCs that you didn't like? Let me know below. But it's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out. But be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. DJ KaySlay, rolling 110 deep. 1.